Hey, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm Mark Baldwin. Today I want to talk to you about life leadership. Life stands for living intentionally for excellence. And here you see we have the wheel of life, and it's kind of shaped like the wheel you'd see on a boat, because if you're not steering the boat, you're hitting the rocks, right? So we focus on these 8 specific areas of life to help you keep the boat straight. We focus on faith, family, finances, fitness, following, freedom, friends, and fun. And I think all of us could or know someone who could use a little improvement in at least one or more of these areas. And the following, that's just another term for leadership, because you got to follow a leader to learn how to become a leader. Makes sense, right? Now, tonight I want to talk to you about finances. Now, I'm not saying that money's the most important thing in the world, but it does help make things easier if you have a little bit, you know. So, that's what we're going to talk about. Now, Life was founded by Orrin Woodward and Chris Brady. They're #1 best-selling authors. Every month they come out with new books and audio CDs, and they were systems engineers for GM back in the day. And at the age of 26, Orrin already had 4 patents and a benchmark award under his belt. Now that's impressive at any age, let alone at 26. Obviously the guy knows some things. Well, one day one of the bigwigs came along and said, "Hey, Orrin, you know, we know that you deserve a promotion and you're definitely the guy for the job, but we're just not going to give it to you because you're too young, there's too many people ahead of you in the union and all that." So he said, "Okay, I'm going into business for myself." And so him and Chris, they teamed up, they went out, they started 3 multi-million-dollar businesses, and then on 11/1/11 they launched Life Leadership. Now they did a lot of research because, you know, they wanted to make sure everything was stellar, and they checked out these 4 leading industries in the information age, because that is the age that we're in. Now, personal development, leadership, and self-help, that's a $400 billion industry. So they took the best aspects of that, tied it in with life coaching, which is a $1.5 billion industry, tied in with community building, which is what we do. We build compensated communities, which is your church, your social networking, and other organizations. There's not even a price tag on that because it's invaluable. And combine that with home-based business, that's a $100 billion industry. So they took all the best aspects of these and rolled them into one company. Now, bucket carrying here, this is an employee's way of thinking, and we'll get into that. And pipeline building, that's like a residual or continual income. That's like the B-type business owner way of thinking, and we'll get into that as well. Now, Rob Kiyosaki, he's the guy that invented the Velcro wallet. I had one of those when I was a kid, but those kind of went the way of the dinosaur, and so he lost his fortune and had to start over again, but he wasn't down for long, because this guy truly understands how wealth is truly developed. He had 3 best-selling books. The 1, 2, and 3 bestsellers at the same time for a long time. Now that's impressive. I was impressed with it. And he had The Ant and the Elephant, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the Cash Flow Quadrant. The Cash Flow Quadrant, that's what we're going to talk about now. Now what he says is there's 4 legitimate ways to make money in this country. Now I always thought there was just legal and illegal, but turns out there's 4 legal ways. He says you can be an employee, you can be self-employed, own a B-type business, or you can be an investor. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the investor part, because he tells us to be a true investor, you got to be able to lose $250,000 and not cry about it. Now, if I had $250,000, I'd be shedding tears of joy, right? So we're not going to spend too much time on that. But it's crazy, too, because they don't even know where their money comes from. It gets together with other money and makes little baby monies, and it just keeps on growing. Crazy, right? Okay, now here on the left side, with the employee or self-employed, he tells us that 95% of us live over here. And when you're on this side, you're on a teeter-totter, because you trade your time for money. And he tells us, as long as you're trading your time for money, you'll never have both. Now, up here, because, you know, as an employee, the more hours you work, the more money you make. Now, let's say you come down here to the self-employed part of the quadrant. Well, now you got more stress and headaches, and you spend even more time chasing it, because you got to watch your employees, make sure they're doing their job and they're not out there making you look bad, right? So now you got no time and a bunch of money. And hopefully you got a bunch of money, because you got to pay your employees and all that. And hopefully you did good enough that month, you got enough to pay yourself. So now you come over here, the B-type business. Now, prime example of that is McDonald's. Now, back in the 50s, the McDonald's brothers, they had these burger stands about 4 blocks away from each other in California. And one day a guy named Ray Kroc came along and he saw the angle there. He said, man, I want to take and buy a piece of your business and sell franchises of it all over the country and make you guys billionaires. And that's exactly what he did. He actually made franchising what it is today. And see, now with the B-type business, see over here, you have to be the magic all the time. But with the B-type business, you leverage a system. And that's how you get your time and your money, because the system is the magic and not you. You ever notice when a McDonald's franchise, the one person you never see there, the guy that owns a place? Because, and back then, you only had to have $650 to invest in one. But you fast forward to today, and and back then, a lot of people thought, oh man, nobody's going to pay money to eat their dinner or lunch out of a paper sack. That's crazy. Crazy like a fox, because you see how well it worked, right? So, now today it costs $2 million to invest in a McDonald's. You need $1 million just to put up the building, and obviously if you've got an empty building with golden arches on it, you ain't making any money. So there's where the other $1 million comes in. Now you got to buy all your food, you hire a managerial staff, you teach them the system, they leverage the system, and the business runs itself. This guy's at home sleeping, somebody hits the drive-thru, he's getting paid. He's on the golf course with his buddies, he's getting paid. That's crazy. For years I thought, man, it'd be cool to figure out how to learn how to get paid to sleep. Some guy figured it out back in the 50s. Now, what's the difference between the people on this side and that side? They got different info. That's what it is, different information. That's the only difference between successful and unsuccessful people. There's just different information. And so, with the system being systematized, they have the power of duplication. Every sandwich, every French fry tastes the same. All the menus are the same. Everybody knows what a number one is. And you walk in, they're all set up the same. Cash register here, menu here, look to the right, here's your restroom, look to the left, there's the deep fryer. They're all exactly the same. And this is where the other 5% is. Well, over here, you got 5% of the people sharing in 95% of the wealth. Are you going, wait a minute, now how's that work? Walmart is another prime example. I mean, whether you like Sam Walton or not, you got to admit, the guy was a genius. He's got a store full of other people's products. None of them are even his. And he's selling them to you. And then he takes and puts Sam's Club right next to it. Right? So he brings all the stuff in. You buy in bulk and get a discount. Whatever you open up, he doesn't sell you there. He moves it over to Walmart and sells you over there. The guy was a genius. He told his family, we're going to be the richest family in the world. We're just going to cut out a couple of middlemen and start our own store. They said, Dad, you're crazy. He said, no, I'm not. And he showed them they're still one of the richest families. Now, over here, every time that you go to the grocery store, you're giving your money to the B-type business. Every time you take your family out to eat, Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's, wherever you like to go, B-type business. Say, okay, I get that. But how are the investors getting my money? I'm not on Wall Street, right? Well, it's real simple, because they own the banks. So whenever you pay a credit card payment, you're giving it to the investors. Whenever you make a house payment, the investors, car payment, all that. And by the time you're done with all that, you only got about 5% of your money left. So it's just like if you had 95 little girls over here and they were trying to share 5 Barbies, you're going to have some slapping and hair pulling going on over there. It's mine, I had it first, get it here. And they're not having a whole lot of fun over there. Now you come over to the right side, you got 5 little girls sharing 95 Barbies. They're having a ball, they're having fun. They're like, woohoo, we got plenty, share and share alike, happy to share the wealth. I saw this thing and I said, man, I got to do something different. This is crazy. Because after 13 years in the automotive industry, I discovered, you know what, I do not want to do this for the rest of my life. And that's kind of what they want you to do. The government has changed up the game quite a bit. Now, it used to be a 45-year plan, but now it's become a 55-year plan. Because if you were born after 1969, you can't retire till you're 72. It used to be 65. Now, I can tell you, if you're working 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day, you're not going to live to be 72. And that's the game plan, because they don't want to give it to you. See, we were all raised on the industrial age way of thinking, right? You go to school, you get good grades, graduate, get a decent job, some kind of security. When you're done, you can retire and you'll be all right. And that used to be true. But now in the information age, it's not. Now let's say about in your early 20s, usually you start out, you get a job, right? And you're working and you're getting a little raise every now and then. And a lot of places don't even do that anymore. But, you know, so you start out and you're thinking, man, I'm doing good at this rate, right? Me and my family, we're set. I ain't got to worry about nothing. But then that tapers off and you kind of flatline. Now, if that was a cardiac monitor for your heart, you'd be dead. Now, so as things go on, with no compensation for the cost of living rising and inflation and all that, it gets a little bit tougher. You kind of struggle, but, you know, you make it. So let's say you make it to retirement. All right, you made it all this time, and you're like, all right, I finally get to retire. Well, now you only got half to a third of your income to live on. Half to a third. And look, you've already started struggling back here. Now it's getting cut in half. See, this is what retirement used to consist of for you. Basically, it was sort of like a three-legged stool, right? You had whatever was in your savings, you had pensions, but they systematically did away with those back when they introduced the 401k back in the 90s. Yeah, there's a brilliant plan. Save for your own retirement when you're already living paycheck to paycheck. 6% of nothing is still nothing. So now we got 401ks and then Social Security. Now, they are systematically doing away with the Social Security the same way that they did away with pensions. So if you fall in this 72 range like I do, guess what? You've got no Social Security coming, so that's bye-bye. Now we're down to 2 legs. And if you fall in this 72 category, the government's seizing up them 401ks and saying, hey, don't worry about it. When you're old enough to get that, we'll make sure you get it. Yeah, right, you believe that? And even when you did have that coming, your spouse didn't get that. So now that's gone. Now all you got left for your retirement is what's in your savings. And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely not fiscally fantastic enough to make it another 40 years on what's in my savings. So now our three-legged stool has become a piece of stool, which is about to get flushed. And see, that's the great thing about this business is once you get in, once you get your money coming every month, it's guaranteed to you for life. It keeps coming because it's a B-type business. It's a franchise. Like McDonald's, it doesn't go away. It keeps on flowing. All right, now we talked about bucket carriers and pipeline building, the B-type business. All right, now I'm going to show you what I mean. Now let's say there's a village, right? We got a couple houses here. As you can see, I'm no Michelangelo, but bear with me. All right, now let's say this well is the village's water supply. Now here's an employee's way of thinking. Here's how he's going to solve it. This is the bucket carrier thing. He says, okay, well there's a river not too far away from here, so I'm just going to get some of my buddies together, and for $10 an hour, man, we'll haul buckets down there and haul them back and forth and fill up this well, and that's how we're going to keep this town going. Well, here's a B-type business guy. He says, I'm going to build a pipeline right from the river to this well. Now, here's what this pipeline builder understands. He realizes if he stops halfway there, is he getting paid? No. It's not like the contractor that says, hey, I need the money up front, and I'll for sure finish the job, and then he just leaves and with the money. It don't work that way. He's got to keep his word. He's got to follow through. So he keeps on building his pipeline, and then as soon as he gets to the well and that's done, bam! Every time somebody turns on a light, flushes the toilet, does the laundry, whatever, this guy's getting paid. These bucket carriers, they're out of the job. We don't need them anymore. So now that money's flowing, sort of like the Alaskan pipeline. You know, every time they flip that lever and it goes through, man, that guy's getting paid. So it doesn't take him long to realize, hey, there's another village not too far from here that runs on the same principle. So I'm just going to go ahead and build another pipeline from that same river to this well. And now, isn't it safe to say that it would be easier now because he's already done it once. He's built that first one. Now he knows what kind of obstacles might get in his way and how to avoid them and how to troubleshoot, and it'd probably be easier. Now he's getting paid twice as much. So that's the frame of mind we get you thinking, and we give you the info to do that. And I just want to touch back real quick to this cash flow quadrant. Now, if you leverage this system long enough, eventually you will be an investor because you'll have that kind of wealth. Now, our whole lives, we're basically taught to do things dyslexic. We're taught to do it backwards. Now, when you're a kid, right, they say, what do you want to do when you grow up? I mean, you're a kid. What do you really know? Maybe your whole family worked in factories, so I don't know, I guess I'll work in a factory like they did. Then you either go to school or you have some sort of on-the-job training. You learn how to do that job, and that paycheck defines your lifestyle. It defines whether or not you have kids, how many you have, where you live, the car you drive. It defines all of that, right? Well, we tell you, do it the right way. First, define what it is that you want your lifestyle to be. What do you want it to look like? Find someone who has that, who's already accomplished that success, and learn from them so you can duplicate your success and then do it so you can live the life you've always wanted. I mean, isn't that such a simple concept? And I never thought about that till I saw this, because I come from a working class family and that's all I knew. Everybody worked. So, okay, let's say this is me right here, okay, when I was younger, had long hair, thought I was cool, whatever. Now, we all start out, when we're younger, we all have dreams, right? We all have things that we pictured our adulthood to be, right? Like maybe you thought you'd have a lot of time to do the things you wanted to do or to spend with family. Or maybe you figured you'd be debt-free. Or, maybe you thought you'd have, like I said, time with your family. Now, this is so cool too, because I know I'm talking a lot about money, but this is the thing. There's different levels in life. You're born, you get older, you become a teenager, you grow up and all that. And most people stop at the level of retirement. They say, okay, I've made it, that's it. What this is about having enough to help other people because you have enough to do it. Most people, they don't help people. It's not because they're bad or they don't want to help anybody. They just can't afford to. This is about getting to a place where you can do that. Did you know you could pay someone's mortgage off without even telling them about it? How cool would that be, right? They go out to their mailbox one day and, oh man, here's this bill, and they open it up. Amount owed $0. Should I tell anybody? And they'd call me up and be like, man, dude, somebody just paid my mortgage for me. How'd that happen? And I'd play it off. I don't know, I guess somebody really likes you, because, I don't know, that's just me. I think that'd be awesome. Or maybe, you thought you'd have some kind of security, or maybe you'd like to travel, or maybe there's churches and charities you'd like to donate to, right? So you thought you're going to do all these things and have all this stuff. Well, then what happens is all these obstacles start popping up. All right, let's say you get married, you have some kids, and look, I'm not saying that spouses and kids are bad things. They're not. But, maybe I'm just an old-fashioned guy, but you want to provide for them. You want your family to have the best of everything, right? So, sort of a financial burden comes along with that, and that's all I'm saying. And then let's say you go into debt buying a house. You get on some 30-year mortgage, and suddenly your $100,000 house became a $300,000 house. You're making car payments. You got credit card debt. All these obstacles pop up, and you can't see past these anymore. All of a sudden, you forget there was ever a time when you even had a dream. You can't even remember that there was a time that you dreamed to begin with. You start forgetting because you're so stuck on trying to figure out how you're going to take care of this stuff every day. You forget about all that. Well, drop my eraser. Here's where we come in. We help you knock down these obstacles. Once those are out of the way, you can start seeing your dreams again. And you can get on the path to seize them and make it happen. Because that's what it's all about, right? Living the life you always wanted to live. So, that's what that's about. Now, surely everybody remembers Michael Dell. Remember the founder of Dell Computers back in the 90s. That was the biggest thing, Dell Computers. Dude, we're getting a Dell. You seen it advertised all the time. They were the best and cheapest computers on the market. Well, he was having a seminar, and Chris and Orrin were still working on researching what this life business was going to be about. And they said, man, here's a kid who just got kicked out of college. He was the richest guy at the time. He was worth $21.5 billion. But man, obviously this guy knows something, right? So let's go to this seminar and find out what he knows. Now, while they were there, what he said is basically there's 3 C's to running a successful business in the information age. He said, now the 3 C's are, you got to have content. Ours is life-changing information. You got to have commerce. Ours is sharing with friends and family and fans. But he drew a line right here. This third one, he couldn't figure it out. He said, the only thing I can't figure out is how to build a loyal community. a loyal community to keep them coming back and buying your products, because that's kind of what happened to him. Is people would buy his computers, they'd get on the internet, and there's so much stuff available to them, they'd find cheaper places to get their other needs. So now, you know, even he's feeling it. That poor guy, he's only worth $17 billion. It's tough all over. He's struggling too, that poor guy. But anyways, when he got to the community part, Chris and Orrin were like, we got it! We'll pay them! We'll bribe them! We'll pay people to use our products! We'll build compensated communities! That's how we're going to do it! And help people live the life they've always wanted! Priceless, right? Genius. Alright, now we'll talk a little bit about some of our products, not all of them because that would take hours, so for time's sake, we're just going to cover a few of our basic subscriptions here. Now, you got the Life series, and that's dedicated to helping you grow in all 8 areas: faith, family, finances, fitness, following, friendship, and fun. That's 1 book and 4 audios a month. And then you got the Leadership series. That's also 4 audios and a book a month. And I'll tell you, you know, a lot of people think that, oh, what do I need to know about leadership for? That's not important. Yeah, it is important, and I'll tell you why. Because we're all called upon to lead in some capacity or another. Whether it's leading your family and you want to lead them in the right direction, right? Or leading a big business. So leadership is important. And this Launching a Leadership Revolution book is great because it covers the difference between managers and leaders and the different levels of leadership and the different levels of influence. So it's really great stuff. We got the Go series. That's 1 audio a month. And that's the All Grace Outreach Program, which is a charity that Orrin and Chris started. They donate a lot of money to that to help women and children. And it helps you in your faith. And it helps you understand why you believe what you believe. Because the why is more important than the what. Then we got the Edge series. Now there's a reason why this is called the Edge. And it's 1 audio a month and $10 a month. And what this does, like we talked about, success principles. You know, it's not taught in classrooms, though it should be. It's not taught to us by our parents, but it's not their fault. It's not that they don't want us to be successful. It was just never taught to them. So this is for kids ages 8 and up. When my son turns 8, I'm getting him on it so he can learn them success principles and be successful. And then we got the Freedom series. Now, I don't know about you, but this kind of makes me sick. You know, this country used to be the freest country in the world, and now it's number 17. Can you believe that? Now, this is 1 audio a month, $10 a month, and what it does is it explains the freedoms that are being taken away from us and what you can do about it as a concerned citizen. And I'll tell you, you know, with our series, there's absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain, and I'll tell you why. Let's say you get the Edge series, and it's great bonding time with your kids. You're sitting down and you're both learning something. They're fun to listen to. And you're learning something important. But if you don't like it, you say, I don't think it's as good as that Mark guy said it was. Cancel it and get your money back. No problem. Next, we got our 3 for Free program. Now this is pretty cool. One of the products I didn't cover was the Financial Fitness Pack. And I'll tell you why this is such a great thing. Look, if you apply the principles in this, it's 8 audios, a book, and a workbook to sit down and figure out your budget and everything, you can get debt-free on your current pay scale. So you don't have to go do something illegal or kill yourself getting another job trying to figure out how you're going to get rid of your debt. Now, this is how you can get it for free. You get 3 other people that are interested in it and want to buy it, and then refer them to me or a life member that you know. And when those 3 get theirs, guess what? You get yours for free. How cool is that, right? Free is always good, so that's awesome. Alright, now everybody always wants to know, where does the money come from? Now, when Orrin and Chris published their first best-selling book, what they discovered was 80% of their profits got ate up by middlemen. They had to hire a publicist, they had packaging, national wholesaler, regional wholesaler, local wholesaler, advertising, retail stores. They were like, man, why are we giving all our money to these guys? They didn't do anything to make the product better. But they wanted a house on the lake. Screw that, man. Let's give that money to our friends and our family and our fans, right? So what they did is they cut out all these middlemen. Sam Walton just cut out a couple. They cut them all out of there, right? So now we manufacture all our own stuff in a place in Flint, Michigan.
advertise it on the internet, and ship it straight to the customer. So that 80% that would go to middlemen goes in a pool up here. And that money goes to you, the people in the business. So your pay becomes effective as soon as you do. I said, man, that's awesome. How do I get on this thing, right? Now, we talked about compensated communities. Now, team approach, that's what we do. That's how we do this thing. Now, Chris and Orrin, they studied a lot of them pyramid schemes. And, you know, you've seen these things. Someone comes along and they sign up their brother and he signs up their aunt and they sign up somebody and they sign up somebody and they do, and suddenly you got one of these crazy things going on, right? And everybody's fighting over, hey, I was signing him up first. And then these people up here, they're not really doing nothing, so they drop out. Maybe this person signs someone else, maybe that one does, and then this person drops out, and then hardly anybody's making anything. What they discovered is, you know, some of these businesses, they had decent principles, but only 18% of anybody that got into them was making any money. They said, that ain't going to work. We need something different. We need something better. So they came up with the team approach. Everything is in a straight line in a taproot. Now, when Orrin and Chris first started this business, they also were audited earlier this year by the Better Business Bureau and rated an A+ business. I forgot to mention that. But also, they had 30,000 people already because they'd been in business for a very long time, so a lot of people knew them real well. And they knew that, you know, these guys have integrity and they're honest, I can trust them, right? So they came along with them, so they had all these people, right? So here's our straight line. Let's say you get in now. This is you right here. You say, okay, well, what if I don't do anything? Well, what if you don't? It doesn't matter. You know why? Because the people above you are working this thing. They're putting people in. So now, that person puts someone in, this person puts someone in. Now all of a sudden you're going, hey, I got 3 people on my team. How'd that happen? I don't even know these people. I didn't do anything. Because the people above you are putting them in. This all counts. That's team approach. That's why nobody's fighting over anybody, because, you know, we're all working together. It benefits everybody. That's the compensated community thing. So you say, oh man, I'm going to get going. So then you put someone in. And then they put someone in. And it just keeps on growing like that. Now, once you get 13 people under you in this line, remember, you got a team of people helping you do that. You're not doing it on your own. Now you break off and you start your second team. Now, this person will take you to this person, and that person will take you to that person, and so on and so forth. And now, once you get 7 under you, that's an extra $1,100 a month. Now, I know for a fact that for a lot of people, that is a 2-week paycheck with a lot of overtime on it. Now, you're going, well, wait a minute. If they're breaking off and this person breaks off, it's not a straight line anymore. Sure it is. That's all we're running is straight lines, and everybody's working together. You say, okay, well then how does that work? Here's what you do. First, you make a list. You make a list of all the people you know and their numbers. Next, you contact those people. You call them up and say, hey, come on over and check this out. I want you to see this, right? They come over. Next, you show the plan. And then, once you show them, always book a follow-through. That way there you can follow up and answer any questions and maybe give them some material and check it out. Next, you rotate the pattern, which means now someone else signs up. You just put them in. Now, you sit down with them and help them make their list. So every time you get someone in, they're working a list. You help them make their list. So that person takes you to another person. You help them get that person on their list. And it just keeps on growing right on down the line. And that's, I said, wow, man. So now check this out. Okay, so you got a total of 20 here. Now, once you get 33 under you here in the taproot, this first line, which, like I say, you got everybody helping you, and 17 over here in your second one, that's an extra $3,500 a month. And a lot of people are working a lot of overtime for way less than that. I mean, that's awesome. Then, what happens is, seeing these people, they'll break off and start other teams too, and they'll start helping them. That's that B-type business. That's how it leverages, because that's why we're the #1 leadership development company in the world. We're leaders that develop other leaders. So it just keeps on rolling, man. So now, once you've accomplished that, you're ready to start your third team. Now on your third team, okay, you got 75 in the taproot. You got 50 under you in your second line, right? Now, once you get 13 people in your third team, that's an extra $7,700 a month. $7,700 a month. Woo! I'll tell you, why would you ever let a time clock or a boss tell you what to do after that? I mean, dang near every job you work is a pyramid scheme, because you can never make more money than the guy at the top. In this, we're going out of our way to help the newest person, the guy at the bottom. So it's like an upside down pyramid. Everybody has the same equal opportunity to do whatever they want. And this is just the beginning. There's so much more. The Better Business Bureau, they made us put out this income disclosure sheet. Now they said, okay, you guys are a legitimate business. You got to put your numbers out there and show people what you're doing and explain to them how they can make that money. Now look down here, right on down the line. There's the figures that I mentioned. But look, it goes further, and you get to senior coordinator. That's $40,000 a month. That's $480,000 a year. Now, if you went to work today and asked your boss, hey, what can I do to make an extra $40,000 a month? He'd laugh at you and have you drug tested, because there's nothing. He's not even making that much money. He'd say, man, you're crazy. What are you smoking? Now, we said, okay, since we have to put our numbers out there, we put the average everybody else's numbers out there. Every other thing that there is, like the physician, for example, that's the physician average makes $91.38 an hour, or $190,070.40 an hour. And right on down the line, chiropractor, all that stuff, right on down the line. If you get in our business, you'll have one of these for your own records to check out. And that's the highest paid guy on the list. So, I mean, it's crazy. It's a no-brainer, right? Okay, so you say, okay, how do I get started? How's this thing work? Okay, first, you got to enroll. That's the first thing. You sign up. Step 1. This is sort of like the base. You need a good base for your ladder to sit on so it doesn't fall over, right? The next step, you get on Total Access. What is Total Access? Total Access is total access to totally everything. Okay, that's $80 a month, and that covers your business license, because you got to have a business license to run a business, just like you got to have a license to drive a car, right? That covers your weekly meetings. We have Tuesday night open meetings. There's a different speaker every week, and just amazing stories. Like, I'll tell you, Tim and Amy Marks, one of the biggest couples in this business. I got to see them at a seminar, and I was so moved by these guys. When they first got in the business, they were $1 million in debt and on the verge of divorce. I couldn't imagine owing somebody $1 million. But now you fast forward to today, they're multi-millionaires, and their marriage is better than it's ever been. As a matter of fact, they purposely had a couple more kids. No